Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am back with another crochet pattern tutorial. For today's tutorial I will be showing you guys how to make a no-sew zipper pouch for all of your essentials. I made this one admittedly a few months ago, and I think I had in mind the idea of carrying around my paintbrushes. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a painter artist by trade. So I think I was going along those lines. This is like a 12 or 14 inch zipper, I really don't remember, but nonetheless it's practical for my needs. So for today's tutorial I want to make something a little bit more practical, and you can see that I have a zipper already started off here. I'll be showing you guys how to run our threading through this. No worries, all you need is a couple of crochet hooks, your favorite yarn, and some crochet thread. Here, like I said, I have a 3 to 4 inch zipper. I have a spool of Aunt Lydia's in Wasabi. And I also have some 4-weight acrylic yarn. It's a Red Heart yarn. I think it's in, I want to say tea leaf. It is in tea leaf. Okay, so this is what I have to work with today. Of course, you're going to want your basic stuff like your scissors, your darning needles, the crochet hooks that I have for today. This is a 1.5 millimeter. You could also get a loom pick or an awl if you have one, because you're going to be using that to make the holes along your project, potentially. I also have a 4 millimeter crochet hook because I like my stitches to be nice and tight along my project. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this tutorial. Alright, so we want to start off with a zipper, and like I said, I have one prepared here. I think I started another pouch and ripped it back. We are going to be running our crochet thread directly through our zipper with a bunch of single crochets. So depending on the length of your zipper, that should determine basically how many stitches you have in. Now some people will take their actual ruler and measure out centimeters and space out their stitches accordingly. Usually I'll just take my crochet needle and make a set number of stitches along one side, and then I'll mimic that on the other side. And then of course there are stitches that will be going across here vertically or horizontally, whichever way you want to look at that, that you'll want to account for in your math also. Alright, so first got my small crochet hook here, and I'm just going to take it. Now most, if not every zipper has this seam on it, but you just have to kind of feel. But you can easily jab something through it, which is great for our case because we don't want to sew anything later. And what I like to do here is go past this little notch here that seals the zipper. So I'll work from like this point onward in order to make my stitches. So I'm just going to push the head of that tiny crochet hook through the zipper like that. And I'm going to catch my crochet thread. You can work a slip knot and then bring it through if you'd like, but I just like to kind of wiggle mine through there, just like that. Okay, and I have a decent tail so I don't pull my thread out of my zipper on accident. But I'm going to pull this up to height, and I'm going to yarn over and loosely make a single crochet. Okay, I don't want to make the stitches so tight that it starts crinkling up this fabric along the zipper, because you'll be able to see that later and that's no fun. Okay, so then I'm going to go over a little bit. I like my stitches fairly close together, and I'm going to again push the head of my crochet hook straight through that zipper. Gonna yarn over, gently wiggle my yarn through there so I'm not pulling up any threads from the zipper itself, and I'm going to make a single crochet next to that. And I'm going to do this all the way across this zipper here until I reach, sometimes I like to open this up a little bit and pull it down, but until I reach maybe about this point on my zipper, because I don't really want this zipper to go all the way past, all the way to the very end of it. I want to leave a little wiggle room here. Alright, so just going to do that again. Insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, and it really pays to take your time here, because like I said, you can make this look very messy on accident, and you don't want that. Alright, but just really paying attention to my tension and where I'm sticking the head of this hook into the side of this zipper to make sure my stitches are nice and neat and they're not too tight. Alright, all the way across. Alright, so once you get all of your stitches along one side, you want to just go over and count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Alright, so I have 23 stitches on one side of this zipper. And again, that is starting maybe about a centimeter away from the very end notch of this thing, all the way over to maybe a centimeter away from the other little notches on the other side that keep the zipper on track. Okay, and so now what we want to do is bridge the gap between here and this other side so that we can start putting our stitches along this side also. And also don't freak out if your zipper starts curving a little bit on one side or something. It just probably means your tension was a little tight somewhere along the way, but as long as you're not just putting a chokehold on it, you should be fine. Alright, so typically here I will chain maybe 4, depending on how long my zipper is going this way and how wide I want my project to be. But I think for the sake of today's project, I think I'm going to chain maybe 3. Let's see, very loosely. So I want to pull up a little loop here from this last stitch that I made, and I just want to yarn over and chain. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of loop this around and line it up with the other side to see if I can get a decent pull over there, and it looks like I can. So now I'm going to turn my project, and I'm going to, best as I can, line up the head of my needle on this blank side across from the stitches that I just made. I'm just going to push it through that zipper. Now alternatively, you can make individual little dots so you know exactly where to go on this, and depending on my project I will do that, but for the sake of today's tutorial I just have not done that today. And after you've made a few of these, you just kind of get a good feel for the flow of the project, so you kind of don't need it. But again, you're going to pull that stitch up to height, make a single crochet, and it will almost always fold your project over a little bit, but again, that's fine. Alright, so there's number 1 out of 23. So I'm going to go about making 22 more single crochets along this side, stopping directly across from the very first single crochet that we made on this project. Alright, now that I have all 23 of my stitches on this side also, I'm going to chain up my 3 loosely. So 1, 2, 2, and then we're going to do a third one, 3, and we're going to turn this work again just around so that we can slip stitch into the top of that first stitch that we made. Alright, and then here is where you want to fasten off, so I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to snip my thread. Alright, I'm just going to give that a little tug so it's tight, and this is what I have here. Now I'm going to, while it's easy, I'm going to go ahead and pull this zipper back to make sure it's open here and that my chain is kind of spread out. Okay, so now what I want to do is get my bigger crochet hook. This is a 4mm, so 4mm, and I'm going to come over here and grab my acrylic yarn. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and slip this crochet hook into that first stitch that I made with the crochet thread. Just kind of wiggle it under there. It's another reason why tension was important during this process, so that you can easily work your larger crochet hook under those stitches, okay? And I'm also going to be weaving in these threads as I go. So I'm going to connect my new fuzzier yarn. Like so. Just twist it to pull it through that stitch, okay? And now I'm just going to slowly work across all 23 stitches on this side with single crochet. So that is yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through both loops on the hook. I'm going to do that all the way across. And I'm only going to weave these in for so long. If I'm feeling some sort of way about it later, I can always hit it with fray check before I clip them off for good. Alright, and that was number 23. So now I am ready to address the little chain space that I made. I did 3 chains, so usually I like to do less stitches than the number of chains that I did, especially if I'm working in 2 different weights of yarn as I am here. So I'm just going to put 2 single crochets in that gap space. Alright, and now I'm turning my work so that I can work on this second side, and I am going to work along all 23 single crochets across this side. This is probably the most tedious part of this project, but it is so worth it to be able to make these little pouches, because they're unique little ways of storing your items, or some people get really good at them and sell them at markets, which is also pretty fun. And this last one is always hard to see, but number 23 is right here. I'm just going to work into it with my crochet hook. And now I am again at a point where I am at my chain space, so I'm going to work 2 single crochets into that chain space. There's 1, and there's 2. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this single crochet from the beginning of the row. Okay, and this is what this looks like so far. So now we want to get into working the body of our piece. Alright, so to work on the body, first and foremost, this particular video is just covering a basic pouch. So we're going to do this all in single crochets. So the math doesn't really matter here, but if you are doing something with a more complicated stitch pattern, of course you'll want to make sure that you have made your the proper amount of your initial stitches for your foundation row here with the thread accordingly. You'd also want to kind of make sure you're matching your thread, but I thought for visibility's sake today we'd go this route. So I know on the first side I have 23 stitches, and on the other side I have 23 stitches, so that makes 46 stitches. Alright, then I have 2 stitches in these chain spaces here, so that leaves us with 50 stitches. So if you're working on a stitch pattern, like I said, you can work that in accordingly with the number of stitches that you have. So what I'm going to do here is, I don't want to do any real increasing or decreasing here. I just want a very simple flat pouch that doesn't poof out too much. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to work a single crochet into the base of that chain 1. And then I'm going to single crochet 1 stitch into each of the stitches around. And this is something that you can really play with and shape to your heart's desire, alternating different rows of increases or decreases if you're going for that look, starting off with a certain number of stitches. Like I said, making various stitch patterns with these. The options are really limitless with this. So I encourage you to, have a lot of fun with this while you're making them. These also make good trinket bags for, like, if you have younger kids or if you have younger grandkids. I know one thing when I was growing up that was really cool to me was just having my own coin purse. A lot of people use these for that. You can put linings in them. So again, the possibilities are endless here. So I implore you to have fun with it. Alright, and I'm going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you back when I get to the beginning of my row again. Alright, and I am about to work my last stitch. Sometimes it's a little weird to see, but I'm going to work my last stitch here. Then I'm going to single crochet into the top of that single crochet from the beginning of my row. And so this is how this is going to build up or down in build depth, there we go, into your project. So here is the top of my bag, my little pouch, and I'm going to continue to work rounds of single crochet until I am satisfied and I have the depth of the bag that I want. So again, that is just going to be a chain 1 there. Gonna single crochet into the base of the chain 1. We're not doing any kind of increasing or decreasing in this video, so you're just going to single crochet in each stitch along, and I'll meet you guys back after I have worked up many rows, because I'll show you the simple way that I like to close off these types of projects. Right? And if you're still hanging around this video at this point, I appreciate you so much. Please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. There are lots of goals I want to reach this year here on Infiniti Crafting Co.'s craft channel, and I can't reach those goals without you guys in my viewership and being a part of my community. So consider hitting that button. And also, if you want to see more of this type of content, then, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what kinds of tutorials you want to see in the future, and I'll meet you guys back when I have the length of the bag. Alright, so this is what I have so far. I think I'm pretty satisfied with the length of this. It's perfect for a little coin purse. These are all single crochets, so nothing's getting through those cracks. But of course, if you do sew or you like to hand sew, then you can put a lining in this and make it even more secure. What I want to do now is to close up the bottom, and what I do is super duper simple. So I want to make sure that I have stopped at one of the corners, and I have, let me go ahead and slip stitch back to the beginning of the row like I'm supposed to. And what I want to do is I'm going to go back probably that stitch before I just slip stitched into the first one, and I'm going to insert my hook into that and underneath this first stitch of the row, and I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop through, and I'm going to pull it through that loop that was already on my hook to slip stitch. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to work through 2 stitches on either side of my work with a slip stitch. Now some people will use a single crochet, and I will do that on occasion. Whichever floats your boat. It's just a matter of preference. But you're going to slip stitch this closed all the way across, and when you do that, it gives you a nice neat finish on the other side, which I will show you guys. Before you start doing this though, you want to reach down in there and make sure that your pouch is pretty open, so that you can flip this on the right side easily, because otherwise you're going to have to kind of fight with this zipper to get it knocked back so you can open it up from the wrong side. Just being careful there so I don't snag any of my threads on the right side of the work. I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch all the way across. Alright, and just working into that last stitch with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to go into the very side here and do another slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1 so that I can fasten off. Oops, I'm going to cut my yarn. Alright, so I clipped my threads from earlier, so I don't have those to weave in. This is my only end that I have to weave in, so I'm just going to grab a darning needle over here, pull it through. And the wonderful thing about single crochets is that when you wiggle in your ends and weave them in, they're darn near invisible. So I'm just going to weave this in while I'm on the wrong side of my work into those legs of my stitches. Just kind of pull it through. I'm plying some of those stitches so that the fibers will hopefully catch on themselves. But again, if you are paranoid like I am, you can use Fray Check, which is basically a fabric glue. I don't have mine over here, unfortunately, at the moment. But I use it quite often in my creations, just for that extra added sense of security. Alright, and once you are satisfied with weaving in your end, you can again clip that. And now we are ready to turn this on the right side. So you're just gonna pull that apart and push the project through that opening in the zipper. It can take a little bit of fiddling, but just be gentle so you don't break your zipper or anything like that. Just take a second to kind of pop out those corners on the inside and tuck everything else back on the inside of your bag. Okay, and you can zip this close. Okay, perfect little coin purse. Alright, and so here we are with the coin purse. That's what it looks like on the inside. It can be a really darling project. Like I said, when I was a kid, my big thing was having my own little coin purse because I felt like a grown little lady. But, you know, these can be made into a variety of things. I thought about even making a tablet case with a zipper on top for my grandma's tablet, which I haven't gotten around to yet. So, you know, again, ideas are limitless. You can add all kinds of embellishments, use any kind of stitch patterns that you'd like for these things. I just wanted to run over the simple basics on how to get that zipper on there. At some point I'm going to use this one. I don't know what for. I have no idea what for, obviously something green. I haven't really tried using the crochet thread yet to make a full pouch, but I might at some point. I think those can be really delicate and fun. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If so, don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so I know that you guys like this content. There are like 91% of my audience that has not subscribed to my channel yet, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna keep coming back, why not just join the community? It's free and it's fun, and I'm always uploading content that you know you're gonna want to tune into later, so consider giving me a subscribe today. If you want to further support the content, I do have a merch shop, which you should be able to see the little merch shelf below this video. I sell shirts, mugs, hoodies, you name it. They're all crochet themed right now. I haven't done anything with the knitting, but that might be in the works for a later project. You can also head over to my website, sign up for that newsletter so you don't miss out on my monthly newsletter and little crafty updates for the brand. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I post my whip pictures, my finished projects, and notify you guys about shop updates and pattern releases. I think that's all I had to say for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and until next time, guys, happy making!